Welcome to our Meet the Candidates interview series. This is Gretchen Wehmhoff. She's running for the open seat in the Chugiak Eagle River District. Also has a little bit of J-Bear in there and a little bit of Muldoon, you said?
Yep, just a little bit. The people in Muldoon call it the boot.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. So go ahead and tell me, what makes you the most qualified candidate for this seat?
Well, that's a good question. I have lived in Chugiak Eagle River since 1995, and I've lived in Anchorage since 1965. So this is my home. I taught Chugiak High School for 21 years, and I also was active in the Girl Scouts out there. I'm on the road board as an alternate, and I'm involved in the community councils. I actually love the community, and I think I've become part of the community. I think I really have a sense of what the needs are. So I think that probably makes me the most qualified.
All right. And if voters agree with you and you're elected, what's the first action you want to take or the first issue you want to address as an assembly member?
I am incredibly concerned about our transportation system and our crime system. And so the two things I'm looking at is if we can get people to work, and people who are working are happier, they can take care of themselves. But right now we have a transportation system, especially for Chugiak Eagle River, that doesn't help people get to work. In fact, in just a few months, Chugiak's going to lose their only transportation into Anchorage through the bus system, where actually the last bus leaves in August. So my first real push when I get in the assembly is to protect the transportation system in Chugiak Eagle River. And the other is to really work on how are we going to help these people who are trapped in this opioid epidemic. You know, it's so easy to become addicted, but it's so difficult to get off of heroin. And so I think that if we could solve that problem or help that problem along, it will help everything. It will help our crime, it will help our economy, it will bring our life back to what we like it here.
All right. Looking at the budget that the Assembly just passed, what are your thoughts on it? Are there areas you would have maybe wanted something different to happen?
Well, of course, again, if there was one place I would shift money is I would really look at public transportation as an infrastructure, and I would increase that to the point that it could pay for itself. And I don't think we've explored that enough. I agree that we need to keep adding police officers. That's not a problem with me at all. But I also know that the police can only do as much as we can give them the tools. And if we're not helping them solve the problems that they're fighting, then we're not helping them at all. So I think that we have to look at where we put our budget money to help solve give a solution so the police officers can do their jobs.
Do you support implementing a sales tax to diversify our tax base, maybe shift some of the burden from solely property owners? Talking about a tax under the cap.
Yeah, well, I definitely would like to shift some of the property taxes. You know, the property owners have really carried the burden of our city for a long time. And we haven't had a sales tax. My concern is if the state institutes a sales tax, Anchorage is going to be their biggest cow of cash, and if we need to actually grab that. So my thought is I would hope the state does not do a sales tax, that they look at a different system and they allow local boroughs, local cities to do the sales tax. I believe we're going to need it, and I think it's going to be a rough call. We're going to have to get really creative in how we use it and what we do, but I think we're going there.
What grade would you give Anchorage on how we are dealing with the homelessness issue? Could we do better? How do you think that's going?
Well, we're getting a B for effort. I think that we could be pushing harder. We get a lot of resistance. The homeless population needs our help more, and I think we explored some really interesting ideas with Carlick Manor, which of course did not really cost the city as much money as people might be saying. You know, that was something that came from a lot of the nonprofits working towards that. But you know, we also have residents that whenever we tear down a homeless camp, residents are losing lawn furniture or other things, tarps, things to help build a new camp. So we're not fixing that. We keep just shifting it. So somehow or other, we have to find a way to stop that. So how are we doing? I'm going to say a B because we're trying, but I don't think we're trying hard enough. And I think it takes all of us to say we've got to help it. We can't kick them out. We have to find a way, what's causing them to be homeless.
And so far, we haven't found that perfect solution. Do
No.
you have any ideas? Anything else we could try?
Well, you know, I think there is something to bringing people in and helping them find the job. You know, our shelters are overrun at this point. Somehow we need to assist them so that the people who are coming into the shelters, why do they keep coming? What is it they need? Do they need low-income housing, like really low-income housing? Do they need jobs? Do they need training? What is it that caused them to get there? I mean, if they have lost their home and they're having issues with addictions, then we need to find a way to help them out of those addictions. I mean, I know it sounds like, you know, well, you know, these people should take care of themselves. But unless you have been around or seen people who have any kind of addiction, it's difficult to understand. And I think that almost everyone in our city knows someone who's had an addiction issue, whether it's alcoholism or heroin. That's how bad it is, and it affects our homeless. And our homeless are very vulnerable to that. So I think we need to increase the concept of low-income housing. I'm not talking giving them a whole big apartment, but you know, this sounds funny, bunkhouse concepts, you know, where they have to earn their keep. They have to earn their way to stay there. But it gives them an address. It gives them a place to take a shower. It gives them a place to get back on their feet again.
The mayor has plans to add 56 more police officers to the force within the next fiscal year. Do you have ideas on how the Muni can address public safety concerns other than adding more officers?
Well, you know, when we add officers, I think we also have to remember, going back to what tools we give them, we also have to remember that adding officers and adding the departments, supporting the departments that used to fight gangs, that fight drug problems, we need to support those again. Because right now our drug units and our gang units, you know, they've been cut down. We have units within the police department. We add officers, but we also have to remember that we have to give them the tools to do what they do. And we have to help them with this opiate addiction, because it is, as we saw with the spice addiction, it overruns our hospitals, it overruns our first responders. And if we don't really tackle this addiction issue and our drug problem, then we're not helping the police do their job.
The mayor has also said he will not allow our police department to round up refugees for immigration services, even under the threat of losing federal funds. Do you agree or disagree with him on that issue?
I agree with him. I mean, our police officers are not in the business to be immigration officers. And that's, you know, unless someone's going to pay for that, then why should we be in that situation? So no, I totally agree with that.
And do you think Anchorage should find a way to allow ride-sharing companies like Uber and Lyft to start operating here?
You know, that's a good question. I do believe, and I'm going to stick to my community, Chugiak Eagle River doesn't get taxi cab service, yet they are 10% of the municipality. And so even though there's so many medallions left to stretch the entire city, they stay in a smaller hub. And so Chugiak Eagle River doesn't have that. People can't call a cab just to go to the store. They can't call a cab to go to a doctor's appointment in Eagle River. They have to rely on other, actually sometimes federally and municipality funded programs to get there. So yes, I like the idea of exploring it, but I believe they need to be fingerprinted. I mean, we do that for anyone that's in a safety situation. We need to have background checks on them. And I think we also have to wait and see what the state's doing, because we need to worry about workman's compensation and other issues. So once the state figures out what they're doing, then we can take it on here in Anchorage. But we need options, and we need to either help the cab industry serve more of the community, or we need to let in other businesses that can help us. And specifically Chugiak Eagle River, we are so strapped for transportation possibilities out there.
All right, last question for you. What is one promise you would like to make to voters that you will fulfill if elected?
I promise that I will be attending community council meetings and being a part of my community, that I want to be approachable and I want to be involved. I think my job as an assemblywoman would be to represent the people who live near me and around me. They should have access to me. And I'm going to try my hardest. I'm going to do my best. And I'm sure there will be votes that are difficult. I don't think anyone goes in and, oh, I'm going to vote for this and it'll be easy. I think there's going to be some really tough decisions to make. But I promise that I will listen to as many different views as I can and make the most educated decision I can and try my best. But I'll tell you, I love Anchorage. I grew up here. This is my town. And so I'm obviously going to give it my best.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. Gretchen Wehmhoff running for the open seat in the Chugiak Eagle River District.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you.
This was fun.
I enjoyed it.